Okay. Good evening, everyone. We have a full crowd here tonight. It is now 6 o'clock on March 25th. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Sandwich Board of Appeals. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Board of Appeals is comprised of 5 regular members and 1 alternate member. The Board of Appeals can have up to 4 alternate members. Any decision of this board requires a 2/3 vote. 2/3 of 5 is 4. If only 4 members vote, the vote would have to be unanimous. If 5 members vote, 1 member could dissent. This meeting is live and streamed on Sandwich Community Television's website and on local channel 9. The meeting is being recorded and will be available on the SCTV website at www.sandwichtv.org tomorrow. The board asks that if anyone is recording this meeting, please notify me. But there's no one here to record it. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of January 14th?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, there is no old business. The new business for tonight is permit 25-02, 28 Saltmarsh Road, and number 30 Saltmarsh Road. Special permit 28 Saltmarsh LLC for the purpose of raising a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling and constructing a new dwelling in the floodplain. And Brian and I have already spoken, and he's going to move forward even though we only have 4 on the board tonight. All right. Sandwich Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on the application of 28 Saltmarsh LLC, applicant and property owner, for a special permit under sections 1330, 2420, and 4350, parentheses 2, of the Sandwich Protective Zoning Bylaw for property located at 28 Saltmarsh Road, East Sandwich, Mass., Assessors Map number 77, parcel number 23, and 30 Saltmarsh Road, East Sandwich, Mass., Assessors Map number 77, parcel number 20, for the purpose of raising a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling and constructing a new dwelling in the floodplain. The public hearing will be held on March 25th, 2025, at the Sand Hill School Community Center, 16 Dewey Ave, Sandwich, Mass. The public record information can be viewed at the Planning and Development Office. Okay. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have a couple comment letters. We have one from Brendan Brides, Building Commissioner. It would appear that the new structure will be less non-conforming than the current structure in side yard setbacks. The fire department, Andrew Mandel, has no comment for the proposed project. Conservation Commission, from Dave DeCanto, Director of Natural Resources, or Department of Natural Resources. The Conservation Commission has reviewed the request for special permit number 25-02, 28 Saltmarsh Road, Sandwich, Mass. The Commission reviewed the applicant's project and issued an order of conditions effective 1/24/2025, permit number SE66-2039, in compliance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Sandwich Wetlands Bylaw. A copy of the order is attached to this memo. Commission does not have any comments regarding the special permit request, other than the applicant must comply with the order of conditions. Please let me know if you have any further questions or require additional information. Okay. Okay, Brendan, Ian, Steve, do you have any comments before I open it up to the applicant?
No.
Okay. Attorney Walls, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, I'm Brian Wall. I have an office here in town. I represent the applicant, 28 Saltmarsh LLC, who's the owner of the property at 28 Saltmarsh Road. And with me tonight is Ann McNevich, who designed the home. If I could ask, it might be easy if the site plan, the existing conditions plan, would be put up. We can talk about that first. So this is a request for a special permit under section 1330 and 2420 to alter a pre-existing non-conforming structure, and also a special permit under the floodplain overlay district because there's more work than 301 square feet proposed in a floodplain. Essentially, what the applicant is proposing to do is to demolish the existing structure and build a new structure on piles. There is a garage on the site that we'll see in a second. There's no changes proposed to the garage. So the existing property is comprised of 30,492 plus or minus square feet, and it has 50 feet of frontage on Saltmarsh Road. Currently on the site is a 3-bedroom single-family cottage, and it has a wooden deck and again a detached 2-car garage in front of it. The house sits on a traditional concrete foundation, and according to the assessing records, it was built in 1950. It is in a FEMA velocity zone elevation 15, and the lot is comprised mostly of coastal beach by the bay and coastal dune everywhere else. The lot is non-conforming because it's undersized. The current R2 zone district requires 60,000 square feet, and again, it has 30,492. It's a pre-existing condition because the lot was created in 1954, and I attached a copy of the land court plan showing that. The lot also, for zoning purposes, actually has 0 area because you exclude wetlands, and the dune and the beach are all considered to be wetlands. The existing dwelling is non-conforming because it does not meet side yard setbacks. If you look on the site plan, on the easterly side, the setback is 3.9 feet existing, where current it's supposed to be 45. And on the westerly side, it's also non-conforming at 34.6 feet. The detached garage is also non-conforming. It is set back from the westerly side 22.5 feet, and where 45 is required. If there was area here, the lot coverage would be 6.7% existing, which would be 2,038 square feet comprised of the house and the garage. 25% is what's allowed. The proposed project, if I could maybe see thank you, Mr. Tucker. The proposed project is to construct a new 3-bedroom single-family home in the place of the existing home. The house is going to shift a little bit to the west, so the side yard setback that's closest, which is 3.9, is going to increase a little bit to 7.3. The expansion of the house is mostly in the westerly area of the lot, so it's away from that close side yard setback. The new setback will be 21.7 feet, which is shown on the plan, which is slightly more than the non-conforming 22.5. The garage is at 22.5, and the house is going to be about a foot closer to the lot line than the garage. I would suggest to you that may be permitted. There's already an existing nonconformity to the side yard setback. So under your special permit granting authorities, you can allow an existing nonconformity to become more intense again, if it's not substantially more detrimental. And also under footnote C of section 2600, I believe, you can allow the side yard setback down to a ratio of the neighboring lots, and I did the math in my letter, and you could, if necessary, allow it down to 8.8 feet. So I would suggest that just the 1 foot more that we're making the house more non-conforming than previous is very minor given the other circumstances of this project. The house, as I mentioned earlier, is proposed to be up on a pile foundation, elevation 15, which is what the velocity zone is in this area. The height of the structure measured from the top of the pile, as defined in your bylaw, will be 29.3 feet, where 35 is allowed. There are no changes proposed to the 2-car garage, and the septic system already has a capacity of 3 bedrooms, and that's not being changed as part of the project. So under section 2420, the board may allow this project if it finds that it's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. And we would suggest that it's not, primarily because it's making it more conforming with regard to your floodplain requirements. and it's making the side yard setback better on the easterly side. The criteria that the board looks at is in section 2420, and I'm just going to tick through them. I know the board is very familiar with the criteria. The first one is the proposed project will not create a nuisance, hazard, or congestion. Here, the proposal is to replace a 75-year-old structure with a new pile-supported structure above the floodplain. The bedrooms remain the same number, so there'll be no increase in congestion. The new structure will be flood compliant and therefore more resilient to floods. The project will not result in substantial harm to the neighborhood. In fact, because it's going to be pile supported, it's actually going to be better for the neighborhood in case of a storm. C, the requested relief may be granted without any derogation from the intent of the bylaw. Here we're going to suggest to you that the new structure will be larger, but it's still of a size that's consistent with the neighborhood, and it does better the setback on the side that was closest to it. And where it's expanding and becoming slightly more non-conforming, there's still quite a significant setback, especially relevant to the development in this particular part of town. D, the objectives of the R2 district will be satisfied. So the R2 district is intended to provide for lower density residential development for those uses allowed in the R1 zone while protecting the quality of air, surface water, and groundwater of the area. We would submit for all the reasons I've already stated that this intent is satisfied. We also need a special permit under the floodplain. And again, I know the board is very familiar with these standards. They're set forth in section 4350, subpart 2. The first is the susceptibility of the proposed project and the contents to flood damage and the effect of such damage upon the site and surrounding property. Here, because the project is being elevated, all habitable space and all mechanicals will be elevated above the flood zone. So this interest of the bylaw is being advanced. This project has also been approved by the Conservation Commission, as the chair read through the comments. The second is availability of alternative locations for the proposed use. In this particular lot, there really is no other location. We can't go farther towards the ocean, A, because that would not be in the interest of zoning or conservation, and B, we can't go further towards the road because of the existing garage. So the house has to pretty much be where it is. The necessity of the facility of a waterfront location where applicable, I would submit that this is not applicable. This is not a dock or a pier or anything like that. And the last is a determination that the relief requested is the minimum necessary. Here the house is getting larger, but I would submit to you that it's getting larger in a sideways manner compared to the ocean, so it's not intensifying the floodplain issues. And in fact, if you consider the floodplain a three-dimensional zone, as in an elevation to a certain height, we're actually moving the house out of the flood zone entirely. And so we're actually advancing that interest as well. And that would be our presentation. We're very happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? I was just wondering about the amount of fill you're going to need to bring in.
So Ann has that number, and I saw that comment in the planner's commentary. So what the fill is going to be is that the current house has a full foundation, and that's being removed, and it's being replaced with a house on piles. And so what the Conservation Commission required is that the landform kind of be returned to its natural state. So the hole is being filled in. So we are bringing in fill. But the lot is not being elevated in any way. And Ann has the number if you need it.
It's 286.8 cubic yards.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Same question.
Okay, thanks. Jim, Eric?
Just to be clear, the 14 feet of that footprint to the, I guess, the ocean side is just the deck?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. No further questions from the board, and I don't see anyone from the public here behind any polls or anything like that. So with no further discussion, I'll make a motion, or I'll ask for a motion to close.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We will get to this evening.
Momentarily, matter of fact.
Momentarily, because there is no items to discuss otherwise, so we'll move right on to deliberations.
And I should say thank you for coming out for us tonight. We appreciate it.
Are you all set up, Mr. Killian?
Yeah, so procedural history, this is the application for relief from section 1330, 2420, and 4350 of the zoning bylaw for property located at 28 and 30 Saltmarsh Road, which was filed on February 28th, 2025. That proper notice was given. The public hearing was opened on March 25th and closed on March 25th, 2025. The application was accompanied by a plan entitled Plot Plan, number 28 Saltmarsh Road, parcel ID 77-023, Sandwich, Massachusetts, dated November 14th, 2024. The board reviewed the application, all other materials submitted prior to the close of the public hearing, and the board received and gave due consideration to the testimony given at the public hearing. The following members attended: Neven, Terrio, Killian, and Van Buskirk. Okay, the findings. The application meets the requirement of Section 9, Mass General Law, Chapter 48. Subject property is located within the R2 zoning district and the floodplain overlay district. Property consists of approximately 30,492 square feet of land area with approximately 50 feet of frontage. The lot is in a VE zone with an elevation of 15 feet. The applicant wishes to raise a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling and construct a new dwelling. The proposed dwelling increases the non-conforming nature of the structure by more than 57%. The current footprint of the dwelling and attached deck is 1,575 square feet. The proposed is 2,474 square feet, 2,474 square feet, increasing the non-conforming nature by 57%. The proposed non-conforming structure is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure. Anybody have any question about that?
No.
Okay. The current lot coverage conforms to current standard at 6.7%. Of the lot coverage in the floodplain is considered to be 0. The proposed lot coverage is 9.6%. Section 1330 requirements. The board does not find that there are conditions peculiar to this case, but not generally true for similar permitted uses on other sites in the same district. The board finds that nuisance, hazard, or congestion will not be created. The board finds that there will not be substantial harm to the neighborhood. The board finds that there is no derogation from the intent of the bylaw, such that the district's objectives will be satisfied. Section 4352 requirements. The board finds that susceptibility of the proposed facility in contents to the flood damage and the effect of any such damage upon the site and surrounding property will be minimal. The board finds that given the existing use, there are not alternative locations for the proposed use which are not subject to flooding or erosion. Given the existing use, the board finds the necessity to the facility of a waterfront location. The board finds that relief requested is the minimum necessary. The applicant is not proposing grade changes that would detract from the neighborhood or be detrimental to the interests protected by the zoning bylaw floodplain overlay district. Just want to add the amount of fill proposed. 286.2 is that what it is? What was it? I got 286.2, is that right?
286.8 cubic yards.
286 point,
0.8.
exactly. You're gonna be measuring that,
No
right?
more,
You
no
guys be
less.
out there with a bucket? Yeah. Okay. So the applicant proposes to add 286.2 cubic yards of fill to the site. Any other findings?
Nope.
No.
All right, I will move them.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Conditions of the public hearing, the Board of Appeals considered potential conditions of approval for the special permit. The board voted that the following conditions of approval shall be imposed upon any approval of a special permit, and that these conditions are reasonable, that the applicant and its successor in interest shall be bound by these conditions. Failure to comply with all the conditions set forth in the decision shall terminate the grant of the special permit pursuant to the requirements of Sandwich Protective Zoning Bylaw, Section 1330. The grant of the special permit shall expire upon transfer of ownership prior to initiation or of substantial construction on or occupancy of the site, unless such transfer is authorized in this permit, or if no substantial construction or occupancy takes place within 3 years of a special permit approval, excluding such time required to pursue or await a determination of an appeal referred to in Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 17. The special permit shall not take effect until it's recorded at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds, and a copy of the recorded special permit is provided to the Board of Appeals via the Town of Sandwich Planning Department. Erosion control shall be placed prior to construction and shall be maintained throughout the period when demolition, construction, or restoration work is being conducted on site. Any other ones to consider?
Nope.
Okay, then I'll move them.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, decision after reviewing the application, the plan and other materials submitted, and after giving due consideration to testimony given at the public hearing, the board hereby approves the special permit application for property located at 28 and 30 Saltmarsh Road, as is shown on Assessor's Map 77, parcel 23 and 20, for the purpose of demolishing and reconstructing a non-conforming structure in the floodplain. I will move to approve the special permit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good to go.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Nice quick night.
All right, other matters not reasonably anticipated, there isn't any, but we have to just, I'm sure everybody's aware that Brendan is retiring, and we truly appreciated your knowledge and professionalism over the time you're with us, and wish you the best,
Thank you very much.
and we welcome Ian.
Yeah, Ian will be right there for you.
Cool. All right,